Hello and welcome back. Today I've brought in this Juniper, this Juniper. This is one of many that I air-layered off a kind of mother tree. So yeah, I have quite a few of them because I bought a bigger Tagawa. They're quite hard to come by over here. So I bought a big one online, and then I just started air layering branches off it and kept going until I ended up with just a few branches that I could work on the main tree itself. So yeah, so I've ended up with quite a few trees, smaller trees like this. So if you do have any big junipers or something, or especially Tagawa ones like this, really nice foliage on it, then I suggest you take some air layers off it. Because you can make some nice little trees out of the air layers. This is only air layered off a couple of years ago, and you can see it's grown quite well now. So yeah, get your air layers on now, and by next year you'll have a few trees, and you know who I'm talking about. Nathan, get that tree air layered. Okay, so as you see, this is starting to grow quite well now. I repotted it in this pot last year, I think. But what I want to do is just give it a little pruning back a bit, light pruning, and I also want to go in and clean it out a bit because they get quite congested in here. You can see all the congestion in here and the branches growing in, and this is just turns out to be, these all kind of die off and stuff, and it ends up a breeding ground for all the little things we don't want, like spider mites and things like that. Spider mites love junipers, so you want to try and kind of keep them cleaned out and whatever, because like that, any old dead branches especially, they love to just breed away in there. So it already has wire on it still, so I don't have to do any wiring, I wouldn't think. Here and there the wire's biting in a bit, but it's probably okay for another while. I'll probably de-wire it the next time I work on it. So we'll just go in. Basically, all I'm going to do is take off some of these growing shoots so all the energy doesn't go into them. And I'm just going to go into the insides of the branches and just clean out the crotches and things. You can see all this growth in here. We don't want all that in there. Use the thinner scissors. These ones are a bit thinner. Get in there, tight it, and it's just a matter of cleaning it all out. And again, this is just stuff that's sapping energy from your branches. Let's see, two branches opposites here, so I'll take that one off. And we'll also go in as well and take out anything that's growing down, things like that we don't want. All this dead stuff in here we get rid of. And it might not seem a lot of work, well, not so much a lot of work, but a lot of work done when it's done, just taking out these little bits here and there. But it's surprising how much it will help your tree. You see, like here you've got a branch that died, and that's just perfect for little bugs to hide in. So yeah, I think I must have the one tree. Oh, I better let the dog in. Okay, put the dog in. The next door neighbour's dog comes out, the springtime barking at each other. Okay, so I'm just going to go over the whole tree Just pruning it all back like this, and when we've done, then we'll go in and we'll just have a look at the styling wise. Do we need to adjust anything? Do we need to take anything out or move any branches anywhere? But yeah, I was saying it's quite hard over here to get good junipers, so I went online, and like I said, I bought a couple online over the years, but I just decided to buy one big bush basically. You've probably seen it in other videos. And I just started, it was just, there was so many branches on it, I just hadn't a clue where to start with it. It was just absolutely chock-a-block with a lot of very long branches with the foliage all out at the ends, and not easy to work with. So I knew I had to clear out probably 90% of the foliage, bit by bit. Didn't want to take it all off, not foliage but the branches, sorry. Bit by bit, and so rather than just chopping them off, I started air layering them. So I'd kind of look at the tree, I'd decide on maybe 3 or 4, 5 air layers that I'd take off and put on the air layer, and then when I take them off I'd put more on, different branches, until eventually I ended up with basically, I think with just 2 main branches with a few branches off it. Because like I said, the branches that were on it, all these branches were very long with the foliage out at the ends. So yeah, I've kind of twisted up some. I've made some as kind of more upright trees and all different kind of shapes I've turned them into. Some I even did the air layer and put a little bit of a bend in the branch while it's still on the tree. So when I eventually chopped it off, it already had the trunk already had a bit of movement and that in it. And yeah, so I ended up with quite a lot of little trees. And this was probably one of the biggest ones. I had a couple of big ones and quite a lot of smaller ones, but well worth it, because like that, especially if you can't buy them easily. I don't really like throwing good branches in the bin or into the compost heap if I can help it, especially like that on good trees like that and these. So even if I did cut off a branch, I'd always stick it in to a bit of soil, and chances are it would take one or two too many branches down here, but like that, we'll sort all them out after. You can see how in here, I don't know if you can see that, but you can see how these are getting lighter. They're just dying off because they're not getting any light or anything. That's what's happening, and then you end up with a big congested mat in here where all the little critters live. So we want to clear that out. Okay, so I'll keep going over the whole tree and then we'll come back. Okay, so I've got all more or less cleaned out now. I could fiddle about with it, do a little bit of styling where I need to and stuff. I need to move any branches, take any downward facing stuff off. There's one there that's at the very bottom. I could maybe wire them up, clean out this one, stuff like that. But before I do that, I might not even bother doing that on camera. You can basically see, I'll bring this one down and just bring that one up, and more or less everything else is okay. Just need to go around checking it underneath. But what I want to do before I going to stop the video is just show you the air layers, some of the air layers that I took off. So this was one, and this is just going to show you why it's worth doing. There's outside, I've just counted, there's at least another 15 on top of the ones I have here. So I have little ones like this. As you can see, it was just a very long branch with a bit of foliage at the end. So I put before I air laid it off, I put some twists in it, put on the air layer, and that one's just ready to do something with at some stage. These are ones that I just kind of air laid off and done nothing with them, but the foliage is growing a lot stronger now back here because the sun can obviously get into it. This one needs a bit of clean up and a bit of weeding. But I'm just kind of giving you, see, all this needs cleaning out, the same as the other one. Get rid of all this stuff, even if I'm not going to do any styling with it. Still need to clean all this out, all this new growth and stuff, which is, if it's a spiky growth, it's just juvenile foliage. Might have grown it when it was air layered because it was under stress. It's growing well now, you can see it's shooting out well. So that's another one. Here's another one, again, just to put a bit of wire on it. Not completely stale, but just bent in the main branches into position to give it some sort of start, but again, needs to be worked on. Here's another one. This one did lose a branch at the back, so we can just take that off. I'll just chop it short. Again, I put a bit of wire in it when I'd air laid it while I was waiting for it to take, and then I just cut it off. But again, there's a potential to be a good tree one day. And even this one here, which I wound into this rock, again was, you can see how long the branches were before there was any foliage, and then they still went down onto the tree, so there was a good bit left. So the foliage out the end. So again, it's turned out to be quite a nice healthy tree. I just wound it. I found this rock with these kind of carved grooves in it, so I just kind of wound this into it, as you can see there. I've had that one in there, but it got damaged, I'd say, when I was pushing it in. I must have broken away the bark, which actually got too thick now to go in there, but it's still kind of in the way a bit. I'll obviously have to want to lift the rock a bit now next year, and so I can show off more of the rock and make a bit of a nice job of it, and we can do a bit of styling on this. Again, we'll go in and clean it out. Even if I'm not going to do any styling with it yet, I'll still clean it out. So you can get some pretty good trees if you are there. I'll show you the mother tree. This is the mother tree. Lift that up a bit. So this was it, and all these trees and 15 more came off this. There's some more big ones and there's some more small little ones. I've quite a bunch of them around this size, but all of these were all growing all around this tree. The tree was much bigger, obviously, and all these branches were coming out and splitting off and splitting off. I took off a main trunk here, which was full of branches, and I just kept air layering it and air layering it until I basically ended up with what is 2 branches out of the probably 20 that were on it. And I've given it a kind of a rough styling. Last year it had its first bit of styling because I'd finished air layering off it, so I just kind of put a bit of wire on it just to give it a little bit of shape. But as you can see, it has a good thick trunk because it was such a big bush when I got it. So it's quite beneficial. Yeah, I had to take all these branches off anyway, so you may as well start air layering them off. Bit by bit, I'd take one off this side, one off that side, one off that side, one off this side, spread them out, so then when I cut them off, it left more space and gaps, and then I took off a few more, until eventually I ended up with this and a couple more branches. And in the end I cut off the last couple of branches, but I even put them in as cuttings, and I think most of them took as well. They're the ones I put into the kind of a little forest recently. So yeah, so like I said, it's definitely worth doing. So if you have a good juniper out there with a lot of foliage on it, a lot of branches, and you're a bit wondering what to do, hopefully this will help you decide to do some air layers and build yourself a kind of a good big collection of trees, rather than just have, like I could have cut all them off and just made this tree, but then have at least probably close to 25 trees out of the one tree. Okay, so I think we'll leave it at that. I might keep going with these and give them all the cleaning out while I'm at it, but I won't bore you with all that. I'll just do that off camera, and we will see you on the next one. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff, and we'll see you on the next one.